When people hear Nsukka, the first thing that usually comes to mind is the University of Nigeria. And while that is not wrong, it's also not the full story. Because Nsukka is not just a campus town. It is a place where ideas were planted, where culture meets scholarship, and where a quiet influence continues to shape Eastern Nigeria in ways many people overlook. Today, we are taking a deeper look at Nsukka, its history, its people, its strengths, its struggles, and why this town still matters more than it gets credit for. Nsukka sits at the northern axis of Enugu State, and historically, it has always played a strategic role. Long before modern politics, Nsukka was a center of trade, agriculture, and cultural exchange between Igbo communities and neighboring regions. During Nigeria's early post-independence period, Nsukka's relevance grew sharply, not because of oil or industry, but because of ideas. This town became a symbol of intellectual ambition in Eastern Nigeria, especially at a time when access to higher education was still rare. That legacy still defines Nsukka today. You simply cannot talk about Nsukka without talking about the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, the first indigenous university in Nigeria. UNN didn't just bring classrooms and lecture halls. It brought a national and international population, academic culture, research, debate, and political consciousness. Over decades, UNN has produced scholars, writers, scientists, civil servants, artists, and policymakers who went on to shape Nigeria and beyond. Entire neighborhoods, businesses, and livelihoods in Nsukka grew around the university ecosystem. In many ways, Nsukka became a town that thinks first before it speaks, reflective, academic, and quietly confident. Nsukka has a distinct cultural identity within Igbo land. The Nsukka dialect, traditions, and folklore stand out. And rather than disappearing under modernization, many of these elements have survived through literature, art, and oral history. Interestingly, the university environment helped preserve this culture instead of erasing it. Scholars studied it, writers documented it, artists interpreted it. Nsukka became one of the few places where local culture and academic inquiry coexisted naturally. That balance is rare. Beyond education, Nsukka has several underrated strengths. Agricultural potential, especially in cassava, yam, and grain production. Human capital, driven by decades of exposure to education. A strong diasporal network, with Nsukka indigents excelling across Nigeria and abroad. There is also a calm, deliberate pace to life in Nsukka. It's not as chaotic as major cities. And for many, that makes it a fertile ground for learning, reflection, and long-term planning. But Nsukka is not without problems. Infrastructure development has not kept pace with its intellectual importance. Road networks, urban planning, healthcare facilities, and industrial investment remain underwhelming for a town of its stature. There is also a notable gap between academic excellence and economic opportunity. Many brilliant minds pass through Nsukka, but the local economy has struggled to fully absorb or retain that talent. This is where the biggest question lies. How does a town known for ideas translate knowledge into visible development? Over the years, Nsukka has benefited from periodic government projects, roads, schools, and community initiatives, but not at the scale its influence deserves. The absence of major research-driven industries, tech hubs, or agro-processing centers linked to UNN remains a missed opportunity. With the right policy alignment, Nsukka could have evolved into a full knowledge economy city, not just a university town. Still, the foundation exists. That matters. Nsukka matters because it represents something rare in Nigeria. A place where education came first, not as an afterthought. It reminds us that development doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, teaches, studies, and waits. The town's impact is not always visible in skyscrapers, but it lives in books written, policies shaped, and minds trained. If Nigeria ever decides to truly build around knowledge, research, and innovation, Nsukka will not need to reinvest itself. It will only need to be activated. So the next time someone calls Nsukka just a school town, remember this: ideas built Nsukka, and ideas still gave it power. The real question is not whether Nsukka has value. The question is whether Nigeria is ready to fully use what Nsukka has been quietly offering all along.